Rooster!
Heads up. It's time to hunt. We chase ringnecks alongside Scott Rall, a guy with a knack for finding wild birds.
Go find them, boys.
We're up before the sun to find out just how good the pheasant hunting season might be. And
I've never paddled a canoe in my life.
a couple of Minnesota hunters head west to tackle Montana pheasants. This is a most unusual hunt.
Northern Beer and your Minnesota Select GMC dealers present
There you go.
Due North Outdoors. Here are your guides, Bill Shirk and Laura Scher.
Welcome to the show. We're glad you tracked us down, due north.
You know, today we're hanging with an old hunting buddy of mine, a guy who deserves more credit for his work in the field than he gets.
Gray fall days. Gotta love them. Minnesota State Highway 60 gets just a bit busier come October hunting season. See, this part of rural southwestern Minnesota is prime country for ringnecks, in large part thanks to these two guys.
Almost dead.
Scott Rall and Les Johnson, longtime buddies who you might consider sentimental
Yeah, it might be.
come pheasant season.
The sweatshirt I bought at the very first Pheasants Forever convention in St. Paul.
There's Lucky Hunting Cap on the front. It says, warning, do not wash, luck may run out.
All I know is I got a little superstition thing going that if I don't wear this hat or this vest, I just feel like my pheasant hunting luck goes down.
My dog will really hunt good today because I gave her some of that McDonald's.
Old Les, he's been hunting around here about as long as anyone can remember. In fact, this is how he and Scott hooked up.
And he took me hunting, and me and him just bonded. Les is 67 or 68 years old. I turned 50 in February. He's absolutely my best buddy.
And now, these two are darn near inseparable, hunting together like 5 days a week.
Pointing, guys.
Head. Good boy, Darby.
Look at that.
That's a rooster. That was a nice one. Here, whether it's your first one, thousandth one, doesn't matter. Come on, heel, drop. Oh, good boy. You're old, so I'll carry it for you, okay?
No, I want to have I want the feathers sticking out too. I want to be like you.
Yes, their hunting commitment is a borderline sickness, or so you might think.
Just another average day of hunting for you guys, huh?
That really is.
But once you get to know the guys, you understand why they love all the birds and guns and dogs so much.
Head. Good boy, Axel. No bird.
Here's one that was victim to the vultures.
See, Scott and Les are to the pheasant habitat world what groupies are to rock stars.
We missed a lot of good habitat up there.
Their real interest lies in creating wild places for pheasants. Exactly why Les first, then Scott, long ago joined Nobles County's Pheasants Forever chapter and started, well, a sign business.
These signs, for us and for the people that drive by them, just represent success. Each one of these is an acquisition that's been completely restored and enhanced and open to public hunting.
Scott now leads Nobles County's charge. He's chapter president.
Well, we've almost tripled the amount of public land.
Les gives Scott a lot of the credit.
Real serious about trying to make Nobles County one of the better places for a pheasant to thrive in.
Turns out Les wasn't the only one who thought that way. In Scott's office, you'll notice a plaque on the wall. In 2010, Pheasants Forever handed Scott the Volunteer of the Year award.
When they gave me the Volunteer of the Year, I said, you know, that you can name one person, and that's cool. You know, and I appreciated it immensely. It was a big deal for me. It isn't Scott Rall. It is the energies of the group that are concentrated and focused to do good, because it can't be done by one guy.
Suppose that's why PF presented Nobles County with the 2011 chapter award too.
Well, our chapter has been, you know, #1 in land acquisitions more than once.
Let's go find them, boys.
exactly why these guys have reason to celebrate.
Rooster!
But they never do. They just keep on hunting.
Rooster! Nice.
Wow! That was a great shot. Come on.
Yes, all of this, the passion of a couple of country boys turned pheasant hunters.
Good girl. One of God's better creations.
Guys who found their actions spoke louder than words. And words,
Anybody know first aid?
there are plenty of.
There's one exception to my if I shoot it, I eat it rule, and that's crows. I do go crow hunting, and I do not eat crows.
Maybe you just should try it.
Well,
I try to make you eat crow every once in a while.
Ah yes, just what buddies do. Still ahead, Scott Rall takes a break from the field to put a few thoughts to paper.
Due North Outdoors is brought to you by Joe's Sporting Goods, Strike Master, Aluma Trailers, and by Radco. Due North Outdoors is presented by Northern Beer.
Okay, it's time to get back into the field with my hunting buddy, Scott Rall.
Rooster! All right, good boy! I love it when they get them.
Okay, so you might consider Scott Rall a bit more intense than most folks when he walks into a pheasant field.
My passion for pheasant hunting is doing it well. There's a point right here. There's a point. There's a dog pointing over there. Good boy. You got to shoot well. You have to have great habitat. You got to have really well-trained dogs. Good boy, Axel. Woo!
Truth be told, Scott's other endeavors kind of mirror that same drive. See, when he's not working on behalf of Pheasants Forever,
Rall Financial Services.
he's in the office.
Good. Hey, I'm just following up.
Scott, a financial planner, gets money, work out of the way to tackle another task. His darn computer.
Typing is my weakest of weak spots.
Scott spends a good chunk of time parked in front of the screen. See all the stick 'em notes over there on the wall?
A story. And this one here's got like 10 stories on it. I've been an outdoor writer for the Daily Globe. I started my 8th year in January.
Yep, Scott decided he wanted to not just live the outdoors, but write about it too, which takes him a little bit of time.
I took up writing as an outdoor columnist just because there were so many important outdoor issues that were not getting any press coverage.
Seems someone heard his message. Over at the Minnesota State Capitol, Scott ended up appointed to the state committee that doles out roughly $80 million a year to protect Minnesota's wild resources. It's a big job, and it's kind of a big deal.
It's kind of a lifelong mission to try to leave the planet just a little better than it was when I found it.
I tell people he's like a pit bull. Once he gets his teeth on something, he just doesn't let go.
Exactly why Scott's local PF chapter remains one of North America's most committed.
All I'm doing is directing the energies of a whole bunch of other people.
We decide, what the timeline is and what we need to do it. And then we do it. And that's just the way it is.
So think of Scott as the general, but Buddy Les Johnson there, he might just be the brains behind the mission.
We've just gotten to the point where if there's something that needs to be done, then me and him spearhead those efforts.
Suppose that's why Scott, along with the help of the other chapter members, helped Nobles County be the first chapter to hit $3 million in habitat. Les helped get the organization's very first land acquisition done, Pheasant Run 1. It's got the first of all these signs.
We take great pride every time we get to put one of these up, and when I think it took us 22 years to do the first 16, and it's taken us 5 years to do the next 14.
But don't be fooled. This isn't a couple hours of volunteer work a month. This is literally a life changer, a way of life, and it ain't always easy.
A lot of times it really doesn't make any common sense, because I could have more time to do the fun things that I like to do and even more money to pursue them if I didn't do what I do with Pheasants Forever.
So, when hunting season comes around, you'll find Les out here doing this. And Scott,
Ripster, rip.
he's spreading the merits of Pheasants Forever, even if it is right beside his wife.
I'm excited. Hope we see one.
Good job, sweetie.
Yes, Christine Rall finally gave in and decided to try out Scott's favorite outdoor adventure. Turns out she's getting the swing of things.
Oh, this is a good spot. Get ready, get ready, get ready. To roost it. Wait, 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 wait. Don't shoot it. Shoot it.
Really got it.
That's the magic of pheasants, and they're here because of hard work. The moral of this story: habitat works. Don't ever forget, so do the folks in Nobles County.
And that's why we work as hard as we do, because we want to make it the best that it can be.
Coming up, we tag along as state workers try and figure out next year's hunting forecast, and a bit of habitat help so you'll have more wild birds on your property.
Due North Outdoors is brought to you by Otter Outdoors, Aquaview Underwater Cameras, and by Northland Tackle. Check your compass. It's time for the Due North Road Trip. Brought to you by McCarthy Buick GMC in Coon Rapids.
It's no secret hunters get excited to hear just how good or how tough the bird hunting might be based on annual hunting forecasts. The question is, how exactly do these forecasts come to be? The answer in a word? A road trip. Every summer in Minnesota, state workers drive predetermined routes to try and spot birds. Other states even use volunteers and postal carriers. They wait for the right wind, sun, and humidity, which gives them the best chance at seeing birds out away from cover. Spotters count all kinds of species, not just pheasants or doves. The end result? States are able to get a pretty good idea on how the bird population looks. Oh, and the forecast for this year? Well, we're in luck, because the initial numbers look to be an improvement from last. And this is today's Due North Road Trip.
Today's Due North Insider is presented by Rapid Marine.
Hi, I'm Pete Berthelsen, Pheasants Forever Senior Field Coordinator, and today I want to tell you a little secret. It's called the 50-yard rule. Within 50 yards of each other, if you want to have quail habitat, you have to have three things. Not you want to have, you have to have three things to have quail. Number one, the covey headquarters, a big old plum thicket, 1,500 square feet and larger. Number two, you got to have some grasses with some weeds in it and some bare ground in it. We've got that right there. Number three, we got to have some bare ground for quail, and that's what we have right over here with our food plot. All three things have to be within 50 yards of each other, because quail like to walk from the kitchen to the bedroom. They don't want to fly there, they want to walk there. So if you want to have great wildlife habitat for pheasants, grassland songbirds, but especially quail, think about the 50-yard rule. Putting them all together within 50 yards, that's good wildlife habitat.
Up next, a couple of Minnesota boys tackle a far-away pheasant hunt. And not like you might expect.
Let's put one dog alone in each canoe.
Check your compass. It's time for the Due North Classic.
Up next, one of my favorite Due North adventures.
The wild, wild west of the old Missouri River isn't quite what it used to be. In the old days of Montana, rough and tumble cowboys ruled small towns like Fort Benton.
This has a reputation from the Old West of being the bloodiest street in the West.
Nowadays, guns are cased and cowboys come dressed in orange. They don't ride horses, but instead they ride the river.
Don't tell anybody, but I've never paddled a canoe in my life.
Come on.
I'm serious.
On this October day, Pheasants Forever members gear up to paddle down the Missouri River. It's a most unusual adventure.
Let's put one dog alone in each canoe. My dog has never been in a canoe before, so this is going to be interesting. Hopefully we stay dry. Good puppy. Hunters do a lot of island hopping out here on the Missouri. Jump in the canoes with their dog and their shotgun. Go down the river till they find an island that has habitat on it. Go hunt the island, jump back in the canoe and float down to the next one. I've never done anything like this.
I ain't in Minnesota anymore.
It's a first-time trip for this hunter, too. Pheasants Forever member Billy Hildebrand.
Tess, you made it. In spite of us.
A Minnesota boy, born and bred in Minnesota, this is beyond my wildest dreams.
Back on dry land where a pheasant hunter is supposed to be.
Rooster! What happened?
Well, I wasn't ready.
Oh, come on, man! You're the PF guy.
Any pheasant hunter can tell you got to be ready the minute you step out of the truck, or in this case, the minute you step out of that canoe.
Birdie, habitat means plenty of this.
Hen. Good girl.
Hen.
Start. Sit. 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 Give. Good girl. There are definitely pheasants along the Missouri River in Montana.
They said the birds are down. Tough spring, cold, frozen spring. But we saw a surprisingly good number of birds.
See, these relatively untouched buffer zones are home to good cover for pheasants. The birds spend their days atop nearby bluffs, picking grain in the fields. Then they come back down to the river where hunters can chase them. Just why Pheasants Forever invited a bunch of media types on this trip.
Getting hot. See, that's a point. Oh, something's moving. Hen! This is the first time we've ever done one of these in Montana. We show them, you know, a destination that they maybe have never hunted before, what the habitat looks like in this state, what some of the challenges are in this state.
And, in turn, the hope is that guys like radio personality Billy Hildebrand might preach to his listeners the value of hunting and habitat in Montana.
This is a pretty incredible place. Here.
Sure looks and sounds like he's sold.
It's something you're going to make a memory that's going to be with you until the end of your time.
Same story for Iowa outdoor writer Brent Van Wass.
Honestly, at first I was a little apprehensive about whether they were going to actually have pheasants out here. You know, I figured, what the heck, why not? Imagining Lewis and Clark coming up this for the first time with no, you know, telephone poles or towns or anything around, and what they must have been thinking.
This much we know. Back then, pheasants did not exist in North America. Only after the late 1800s did they catch on and flourish in this part of the world. So now...
Oh, look at this. Where are they going?
Rooster!
Montana looks like this. Just the way upland hunters like their Missouri River view.
Rooster! Good shot, Bill. And
Well, here you go, Fort Benton, Montana. Rent some canoes, bring your shotgun, bring your bird dog, and float down the river. For a bird hunter traveling to Montana, it's a destination that is superior above all others.
I can't believe it. We're already out of time.
Already?
Until next week.
Make sure you introduce someone new to the great outdoors.